invited to her.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Tom Harrington. I'm the Director of Student Services and a member of the Facility Naming Committee. Welcome to the facility dedication for Paso Robles Joint Unified School District for this year. 1 year ago, the Facility Naming Committee was reformed after a hiatus of several years. We have several lifetime members, and we took applications from staff and community members to round it out. The members of this community have many years in Paso Robles. I want to thank the following members who listened to and seriously considered the applications to the named facilities for the individuals we will honor this evening. And the committee consists of, we have Teresa Braden, Harold Franklin, Susie Epkarian, Jennifer Chavez, Marcy Garcia, Tim Gerhardt, Shan McCornack, Larry Moore, Paulette Paler, Ken Parish, Joel Peterson, Jennifer Railsback, Michael Rivera, Joan Summers, and Derek Strapp. And I want to thank you all for joining us tonight to celebrate these four special people that we were on. Not quite yet. Before we go any further, I'd like to introduce the superintendent, Dr. Kurt DeVos.
Thank you, Tom, and thank all of you for coming out this afternoon to be a part of this very, very special ceremony. I'm especially proud to be here as a native of Paso Robles. I was born here in 1954, but unfortunately my parents divorced when I was really young, so I grew up in San Diego. Spent every summer up here though, and living in Adelaide, original homestead family back to the 1880s. When you came in at lunch, you listened to KPRL. I see Dick here in the audience. And if you remember back in the old days, KPRL went on as long as there was something to talk about. And if there wasn't anything to talk about, it would be things like, you know, whose apple pie won second place at the fair or whatever. And my grandma Alexander would get an argument with my dad about whether Mabel Smith's apple pie had too much, you know, cinnamon in it, and then were the Smiths from Creston related to the Smiths from San Diego, on, while everybody waited for the heat to pass and go back to work in the heat of the summer. But as a boy and a young man from here, and being fourth generation from here, but growing up in San Diego, there were names that kept coming up that you just listened to. There were the same Paso names that kept coming back, that were the bedrock of this community. And it's so important, I think, for us to truly honor the longtime Paso families that have made this community what it is and how special it is. So I'm very, very proud that this process has become formalized, that we have a turnout like this to do it through a formal process, and we have some really special permanent plaques to honor the richly deserving recipients here. Before I turn it back over to Tom, there is one person I really need to thank. My executive assistant, Teresa Braden. Teresa, where are you?
Right here.
Teresa Braden. If you know my management style, I don't do much of anything. I delegate and tell other people what to do. And she took the bull by the horns on this, and from the get-go turned it into the process that it has become. So thank you, Teresa, for turning this into a really, really special event.
My honor.
The names that I really needed to know about the names that I remember listening to. Again, usually on KPRL at lunchtime. And a name that I remember an awful lot is Don Parish. Through high school sports, through going to Stanford University, where I dreamt of going and being a football player. I got half that done. I had no clue that I could ever play football there, let alone have a double major in math and history as he did. So a lot of the names, though, just these traditional names, these longtime Paso names are so important for us to honor. And I hope set an example for other new names to come in and take over those places. So without further ado, Tom, back up please, or whoever's next. But I did want to take this special opportunity to thank everybody, and especially thank Teresa for everything you did to make this a success. And to all the family members that I understand have come from quite a distance, I hope you're pleased with what we have find. I think you'll find it real special. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. DeVos. The first high school in San Luis Obispo County, Paso Robles High School, was built in 1892 and graduated its first senior class in 1896. constructed with locally made bricks and stately three-story structure, was located at 17th and Vine Streets, where Marie Bauer Elementary, or the Early Education Center, sits now. All elementary schools in the district have been named for district teachers, and several buildings have also been named for outstanding teachers. Right here at Paso Robles High School, we have the Gil Asa Gym, we have the Wally Olds Building, and the Greg Williams Building. And I see Scott Larson of the Scott Larson Court. Can you say hi, Scott? We will continue this tradition today. We will honor 3 educators and 1 former student. The educators accumulated 110 years of experience in education, both here in Paso Robles and elsewhere. The student was not only a standout student at Paso Robles High School, he was a standout in college and would later go on to be a standout as a professional athlete. I will provide a background of why the committee chose the person to honor. We will then have an introduction from a family member or friend for each of our honorees tonight. We will go into alphabetical order as no one is more important than the other. We are all family. We are all Bearcats. Afterward, I would ask that you do a self-guided tour to check out the beautiful bronze memorials that have been placed on campus to honor these individuals. We will have maps available, although most of you guys see out there probably know your way around Paso Robles High School. And several of us will be available to answer any questions. So we ready to go? All right, first honoree, Randy Candidate. Paso Robles High School. For many years, he was a local electrician and athletic coach here at Paso Robles High School. He eventually made the decision, or was convinced, to enter the teaching profession in the career technical education realm. Mr. Candidate created the building, construction, and trades pathway, influencing thousands of Bearcats, with over 200 of them completing the pathway. He not only taught students the skills in construction, he also taught them job skills necessary to be successful in the workforce. Mr. Kennedy also led the effort to develop the Skillsusa program at Paso Robles High School and served as the advisor for numerous years. During his time as the advisor, Paso Robles High School had over 30 state champions that would go on to compete at the national stage, or on the national stage. In his own area of electrical construction wiring, Bearcats won 18 of 19 state championships. He also recruited expertise from the community through his connections to coach other areas, which greatly benefited the Bearcats. Mr. Kennedy retired from teaching in 2021 after 19 years at Paso Robles High School. Mr. Frank Meacham, the former mayor of Paso Robles, had this to say about Randy. And I can say the kind of the stuff that doesn't include profanities. I've known Randy for over 50 years and worked for him for over 20. As was expressed, he has no doubt changed the course of direction for many a youth in this community. Once a person is taught a trade, that can never be taken away from them. Randy instilled the knowledge for them to go farther, and most importantly, the attitude to accompany that knowledge. He has been a friend, a colleague, and has always been there for me. Well-deserved, Mr. Candidate. I would like to welcome Dr. Patrick Singh, who will speak on behalf of Mr. Randy Candidate. Please welcome Dr. Singh.
You understand, Tom is only an honorary Bearcat. What high school did you graduate from, Tom?
I didn't graduate.
He might be an eagle. It's certainly a privilege to address this group during the dedication of these facilities, and specifically the building, trades, and construction classrooms, to be named in honor of Randy. By the way, some of this is going to repeat because I didn't know Tom was going to steal everything I wrote. Yeah. As was stated in the press release, Randy pretty much single-handedly provided the vision and leadership to build the extraordinary team of teachers who offered the programs in what was once called School to Career, but today offers much more. Beyond that, he built a program that was and is considered one of the best in the state. Our program was so large that for a number of years, the regional contest was held at Paso Robles High and was coordinated by Randy. But first, some history. Somewhere around 2002, Greg Welch, then the principal of Paso High, was faced with a problem. John Stokes, our auto shop teacher, had been poached by Cuesta College. And he and the district needed not only to replace that position, but to find someone who could build our school to career program and continue our participation in a fairly unknown competition called Skillsusa. Skills had originally begun as an auto repair competition, but changed into the forerunner of the program we have today. Thanks to John's foresight and the support of the school board committed to having at least some hands-on instruction, the district was an early adopter of this program. Greg immediately thought of his old friend, Randy Candidate, who could be persuaded to come to our rescue. Now that recruitment process, depending on who you ask, may not have been as forthright in terms of explaining to Randy what courses he would be required to take to obtain a teaching credential. This coursework, sometimes in Santa Barbara, took several years to complete. My recollection of the discussion regarding getting that credential is that Greg and I were mostly completely honest. Despite our complete honesty, there followed several years of whining and sniveling regarding how we told him getting a teaching credential would not be a problem. Okay, we may have omitted a few details, but now at the time of being recruited, Randy was the owner of a very successful electrical contracting company that he founded in 1988 after having worked for a few years for a couple of local electricians. During his contracting days, he worked closely with another significant Bearcat in Robin, who you just heard from, Frank Meacham, who has recently deserted us for the wilds of Cody, Wyoming. Working with young people was actually his first interest. Prior to his working as an electrician in the early 70s, he actually started his career working for Stu Ross as Stu's first employee of the city's Park and Recreation Department. Stu stated he couldn't say enough good things about Randy, and that Randy has always put his whole body into his work, which is a trait that has followed him to this day. Also, soon after he was hired, working with him in the Park and Rec Department was another Bearcat, Mark Perry, who wrote, "I was hired by the City of Paso Robles Recreation Department. Our immediate boss supervisor was Randy Candidate. His boss was Stu Ross. Our responsibilities for the city were all recreation, from flag football coaches and referees, basketball leagues, baseball umps, announcers at men's and women's league softball. We also maintained city parks and maintained all the sports field. Randy instilled a great work ethic and empowered us and expected us to be honest and responsible at all times. He also had a close working relationship with our parents and guardians that he could fall back on. I can honestly say Randy was one of the 3 people who was a positive influence in my life. He has also been a great friend to me and my family. I love Randy, and I'm so proud and honored to call him my friend and mentor." Randy is a true Bearcat. Born in Germany, he and his family moved to Paso when he was 7. He played tackle at Paso High, moved on to play that same position for Cuesta, and then Sac State. He, of course, didn't do all this on his own. He has been closely supervised by his wife of almost 50 years, who has always supported him. He and Lee volunteered for a number of years at a Christian camp at Lake Hume in the Sierra. They have 3 boys, Corky, Gabe, and Matt, plus 9 grandchildren, 7 boys and 2 girls. Despite his commitment to teaching and Skillsusa, not all of his attributes are sweetness and light. He doesn't suffer fools gladly, can be tough with students when necessary, and can at times not play well with a past director of maintenance. You can ask him about the circumstances. I don't know what it is. One thing you never want to do, however, is give him a microphone, unless you have a lot of time. Perhaps the thing that impresses me most about him is his ability to inspire others to be the best they can. Whether it be motivating students to try new things and excel, or persuading volunteers, teachers, school board members, or donors to support skills, he is always all in what he does. He is truly a big man with even a bigger heart. I am proud to call him my friend and can think of no other person better deserving this honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. The next honoree is Mr. Don Parish. Don Parish attended elementary, middle school, and high school in Paso Robles. He was active in student government in addition to being a standout student and an athlete. While at Paso Robles High School, he played football, basketball, and baseball. Don earned an athletic scholarship to Stanford University and majored in math and history. He was a standout on the football team and was twice named to the All-Pac-8 team as a linebacker, received the Pop Warner Trophy as the Outstanding Collegiate Football Player on the West Coast, and was named to the 1969 All-American team. Don was selected in the 4th round of the 1970 NFL Draft by the St. Louis Cardinals. He would go on to play with the Cardinals, Los Angeles Rams, and Denver Broncos. Tragically, Don passed away in 2018. Mr. Frank Beecham, former mayor of Paso Robles, also knew the Parish family. I think Frank knows everybody. And he said about Don, I have had the privilege of knowing the Parish family for many years and the honor of playing on the same football and baseball teams as Don. Not only was he an incredible athlete, but he was very well liked and respected for his scholastic achievements. His 2 older brothers, Cecil and John, were both student body presidents, and his sisters continue to serve the community of Paso Robles. Most remember him as a professional football player and being recognized as an All-American at Stanford. But I can tell you this, he could have gone professional in baseball if he'd wanted. A natural athlete and scholastic achiever, he could have gone in any direction he chose and succeeded in any venue. My congratulations to the Parish family and Mr. Don Parish. At this time, I'd like to welcome Ken Parish, who will speak about his brother Don.
This is a historical event for all 4 honorees. I was thinking of at least 3 words that I could describe this. Humbling, honorable, and hopeful. Humbling, because this is a humbling opportunity to receive such an award. And then honorable. There's honor in this. And then the hopeful part is that the next generation will be inspired. That's what came to mind when I was thinking about this. I'd like to ask the entire family, Don's family, to come to the stage. All of Don's family.
Are we done, Mama?
Sister Lynn,
Oh, I can't. Then can you go up to
so excited on the move to do. Want to kind of jump on the stage and calisthenics. So Stephanie, Don's wife, is here. So I'm going to decrease that her increase.
What an honor it is to be here today, and a miracle that we all got here safely. I thank all of you all for coming out, for all of the honorees today, and especially have a big family here, and we came in from as far away as Hawaii, and my family, my children, we all live in Colorado except one son. Everybody else is here in California, is that right? Okay. So I'd like to thank you all, and I've learned some things today I didn't know about Don. I can remember trying to talk him into playing professional football and playing baseball. I almost talked him into it too. I knew that part, but I didn't know anything about, his high school, grade school, and high school, just like, in grade school and high school. So this has been a discovery process for myself and some of the family members, especially our children. So I'd like to thank all of our dear friends that came out for this event. A couple of dear friends here that we cherish that were very important in Don's life, and we'd like to thank you all for coming. So, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, hello everyone. Let's see. I think the first thing I want to say is I think y'all are blessed to live in a town that seems so intimate. There's a lot of inside jokes. And this is we've probably been through Paso 3 or 4 times now. Each time, that's just something that stands out to me. Is that people seem to have lifelong relationships here. So, yeah, y'all are blessed in that way. Before I go forward, I want to speaking of lifelong relationships and friendships, I want to make a shout out to Del Gomer and his family. Really stood by our father and brother, as a brother, and looked out for him in the last 10 years of his life. Also want to make a plug for this year. This is the Stanford Brain-Performance-Center, and I believe Ken handed out a few of these pieces of paper to folks. But this is an institution that is advancing the neuroscience of brain performance and development, injury and aging, and improving the lives of those with impairments, particularly CTE. Dad was a football player, and he suffered a traumatic brain injury as a result of his playing, and it kind of took his life sideways. And so, as we, dedicate the field to Don Parish to also be mindful of the fact that we need to take care of our athletes. So if y'all are interested, you can make donations by check. I think there's an electronic way for you to make donations by phone. And I think there's more outside on the stage there if folks are interested. All right, I'm going to read a couple statements. Okay, so this is coming from James Ruder, I believe his name is, class of '86 from Stanford University. He calls himself an athletic archivist. It is a distinct honor and privilege to mark the historic occasion of the dedication of the Parish Field in recognition of the great Don Parish. Stanford Athletics takes tremendous pride in Don's accomplishments and is pleased to see his life and athletic career serve as an inspiration for future generations of outstanding student athletes hailing from the Almond City. Don was 2-time first-team All-Pacific 8-Conference defensive selection in 1968 and 69, and was one of the first African-American athletes at Stanford to be awarded such honors. He received the 1968 Bruce Atkins Players Player Award for aggressiveness, offensive and defensive performances, and unheralded efforts. The 1969 Vern Purcell Memorial Trophy, awarded to the senior football player whose courage on the field and devotion to the game are an inspiration to all, and the Stanford Buck Club Leadership Award, given to the football player who has shown outstanding leadership qualities. Perhaps the most high-profile acknowledgement came with his receipt of the 1969 Glenn Pop Warner Memorial Trophy, awarded annually to the most valuable senior football player on the West Coast. One of only 13 Stanford recipients in the award's 54-year history. A standout two-way fullback and defensive end on the 1966 freshman team, Don would grow into a defensive standout and team player as a linebacker on the 1969 Stanford Indians football squad, which many believe was at least the equal of, if not superior to, the 70 and 71 teams, which each ended their campaigns with memorable Rose Bowl victories. The 1969 defense produced 3 shutouts en route to the superb 7-2-1 season, with 2 losses coming from number 8 Purdue and number 4 USC by a combined total of just 3 points. Stanford finishes number 19 in the final 1969 AP poll. On a personal note, I am pleased to note that I was able to see Don play live on 6 or 7 occasions. Congratulations to Don's family, friends, and former teammates on this wonderful honor, which appropriately extends his legacy. So, yeah, from we had various degrees of closeness with our father and brother, but from what we know, he was obviously a skilled and natural and talented athlete, but he wasn't just an athlete of the body; he was an athlete of the mind and the spirit. And so, as we dedicate, Parish Field to be, I guess just to put it out there, to be cultivating not only the body, but also be cultivating the mind and the spirit of all the youth that play on that field. Okay.
A statement from Billy, one of the oldest sons.
Just like to congratulate all the people that are being memorized, the memorial today. To have our father looking down on everyone in the city right now, I couldn't think of anything better than to remember him on the field of battle. And I'd like to thank all committee members to just letting his life continue to mean something for not just our family and friends, but like my brother said, all that play on that field. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for your time. I do have the statement for anybody that would like to be a potential donor to the Stanford Brain Performance Center. I have a copy at the door, and I'll yes. Thank you.
Mommy, are we done with the movie?
Just a second. And one thing that really stood out to me from the Parish family referred to, they read a statement from an archivist that referred to Paso Robles as the Almond City. And those of us who've been here for a while realize, remember that. Okay, I think I know where we're at. All right. All right, here we go, back on track. The next honoree is Mrs. Bertha Phillips. Mrs. Bertha Phillips. Bertha Phillips is a 1966 graduate of Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, go Jags, and arrived in 1969 to be the librarian at Paso Robles High School. Mrs. Phillips took great pride in her library and the students it served. She organized the first high school parent organization to move the collection from the site on 24th Street to the present location here on campus. When technology became mainstream, it was Mrs. Phillips who became the site technology mentor, where she managed all of the technology for the campus. She wrote many grants to obtain additional funding for the library. One grant she was particularly proud of was for 35 computers for a new computer lab on campus. This grant was instrumental in exposing hundreds of Bearcats to new technology. As school advisor for the Cultural Assembly, she worked with students to share their cultural experiences. She served as a mentor for the San Luis Obispo County Teachers Organization, taught workshops on the weekend at Rancho El Chorro, and served on the board of directors for the El Paso de Robles School for Boys. Many will remember her smiling face as she greeted people while selling admission tickets at Bearcat sporting events. During the summer, you would see that smile at the Mid-State Fair. Mrs. Phillips' career as a librarian spanned 42 years, 39 of which were spent at Paso Robles High School. She retired in 2008. Mr. Frank Meacham, former mayor of Paso Robles, had this to say about Bertha. When I got out of the Navy in 1970, we lived on Farrow Lane next to Jay and Bertha. Their son Jay was born around the same time as my daughter Kelly. The two of them remain close friends to this day. Bertha and Jay were hardworking folks and willing to help whenever asked. It is such a fitting honor to name the PRHS library after her. Her achievements are numerous, and because of her, she opened the door to technology for many students. But what I remember most about Bertha is her smile. She would always greet folks with that smile. I remember getting tickets for the football games, and who was in the booth selling tickets? Bertha and her smile. Congratulations, Bertha, to you and your family. I would like to welcome her son Jay, who will speak on behalf of Mrs. Bertha Phillips.
I'd like to say, first of all, feels good to be home. On behalf of the Phillips family, I would like to give thanks and honor and glory to God the Father for this opportunity to be here today. Next, I would like to thank Jennifer Chavez for all her efforts in making this possible. She's been instrumental in communicating between our family and the district and the committee. My brother and I aren't on Facebook, so it's kind of hard to get a hold of us nowadays. I also would like to thank the community of Paso Robles for supporting our mother during her 39 years here at Paso Robles High School. But we're sorry to say that our mother could not be present this evening because on February 17th, 2020, she had a very bad stroke that left her paralyzed. Her spirits are still good. She tells me off and lets me know when I'm getting out of line. And she sends her love to everyone and congratulates the other families and personnel who are also being honored this evening. So I'm going to do something that my wife told me never to do, and that's I'm going to go off script. There's a 7-minute time limit, so I'm going to start it now. So, a Bearcat. When my mom retired in 2008, there was a lot of Bearcat stuff. Just stuff she had, just a lot of Bearcat stuff. And it's great because she had the Bearcat spirit. And there was something that Mrs. Parish said that you learned about Don, that there's things you didn't know. And I have to say the same goes, it goes for everybody in this room. When your parents get older and you meet people, and sometimes it's during a funeral or typically it's during a funeral, but you learn things about your parents that you never knew before. And for me, and I'm sure my brother is the same, we've learned things along the way about my mom, and it's very touching. It really, really is. She was an educator along with Mr. Stroud, and I mentioned Mr. Stroud, he's up next. And one of the committee members was Harold Franklin. And there's things that you learn from your teachers. It's not necessarily the subject, but it is the influence that they have over you. And what I didn't know was how my mom influenced people, but I know who had influenced me. Such as Mr. Stroud and Mr. Franklin, there's two things that I know about them to this day, where it's been instilled in me, and that is they never let their faith waver. They brought their faith into the classroom, and they expected every student to pay attention, to behave. They represented their family, their folks, as well as themselves, and they want every student to be a good citizen. And that goes for every teacher. And they commanded that respect. And I want to thank you, Mr. Stroud, for that, and may God rest his soul, Mr. Franklin, because without teachers like that, we have chaos, right? Yeah. We have chaos. So, thank you. There's a student that contacted me about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and they sent a message, it was via text, and I didn't know who it was at first, but the text read simply this. And I'll share that with you. And this is one of the stories that I'm talking about. And it reads like this. Hi, Jay. Just wanted to say hey and tell you I so wish I was going to be at the dedication of the library for your mom. You see, your mom helped me in a way that no one knows about. Not even her, I imagine. I loved high school. But man, my home life sucked. My dad was an alcoholic, and my mom worked all the time. School was my refuge, and on my worst days, I would go to the library. I wouldn't say a word, I would just walk in, look around, and be quiet. I'd go when I was sad, I would go when I felt inadequate. I knew I wasn't a popular kid. I'd go when I needed to breathe or hide from fear that other kids knew what my dad had did the night before, and etc. And not once did your mom judge me or ask me why I was there. She always had a smile for me, like she just knew I needed it. She had an impact far greater than you realize. She was who I looked forward to seeing when I needed that moment. Jay, you know how much I love your mama. For reasons that sit so deep inside me, I just don't have enough words to explain. I look at this dedication as a dedication to kids that need that place as much as I did. Congratulations to your mother and the Phillips family. So this is one that was touching. When I saw the message, I was blown away. I said, wow. So I immediately knew I had to share it with my mom. So I took the message and I read it to my mom. And this is the thing about my mom. She knew exactly who it was. And she told me about the person, what they had gone on to do in life, and how they were doing, and I'm just blown away at how she knew so much about this person. And it just showed me how much she cared about her students and what she did. She spent a lot of time at the high school. If you remember, her car was parked in that parking lot on the weekends, every weekend. And she dedicated a lot of time to the high school. And she did it because she believed in the students, she believed in the Bearcat, just the pride. She believed in pasorobles, and she just wanted to dedicate herself to something bigger than just her. So she touched a lot of people's lives, she really did. There was another fellow I worked with right out of high school, and he had gotten out of prison. And, I was about 17, 18 years old. And, man, I've never worked with somebody in prison before. I was a little nervous. And he says, who are you? I said, Jay Phillips. Miss Phillips, boy? I said, yeah. Oh, man, your mom, she's so cool. The one for her that never made it through high school. Never made it through. And we were like the best buddies after that. We were the best buddies. So one quick story I will share with you is my mom would come home. She'd come home from school and she'd put her purse down and she'd go around and my brother would remember, first thing she'd get is a nice tall glass of ice water. My brother and I, we were adolescent kids, we'd fuss and fight. She'd say, hey, be quiet. I've been messing with them damn kids all day the next week. I want to come home to hear you two fighting here. You hear me? She said, yes, ma'am. And that's the absolute truth. And if you know my mom, that's my mom. So I want, on behalf of the family, I want to thank the community of Paso. We want to thank everybody in the committee for this well-deserved dedication to my mom and to the rest of the recipients. We appreciate it. We really, really do. And I have to tell one last story. So if you came to the library, number one, you had to have a hall pass. And that was, I called and asked for permission of this student to read this, their message they sent me, and they said, oh yes. Tears welled up, and they said, oh yes, please share. If it helps other students, just please share. Because the library, everything's electronic nowadays, you get what you need, but you get more from a library than just information. So, my mom in the early days, you had to have a hall pass. Number two, take off your hat. Disrespect for wearing a hat inside. And number three, you just had to show respect. Be there for a purpose. So one day, my mom tells me, she said, this boy was in the library. He's sitting back in the chair with his feet up on the table. Oh, yeah? Yeah, that's what somebody said. Not a birth in the library. So my mom said, she went over, said, do you put your feet on your mama's table at home? He said, yeah, I do. She knocked his feet off and said, well, this ain't your mama's table. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our last honoree is Mr. William Stroud, Jr. Bill Stroud taught for 1 year in Porterville before arriving at Paso Robles High School